Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and my broadcast. This is the Hood Oracle, aka Karmic's Worst Nightmare, aka the Rembrandt of Karmic Readers, aka Diamond in the Rough, also known as That Bitch or Queen Bee, with another video for you guys. Okay, so I know that I've been touching on the whole narcissist, Jezebel spirit thing for a bit now, and there's a reason. There's a quote unquote method to my madness, right? There's always a reason why I'll harp on a subject for a bit because I feel that it really needs digging into. And I do apologize for anybody that's been a little annoyed with all of those posts. I do apologize, but bear with me. I feel that it's very, very important. And I wouldn't even waste your time, putting out a video that I didn't think that you wanted to watch if I didn't think it was really important. So, with that out of the way, let me get into the meat of this video. I wanted to talk a little bit about Jezebel spirit, yes, but since this is a spiritual video and this is a spiritual channel, okay, talking about spiritual subjects, I thought that it would be very, very important and very, very helpful, actually, to make a video on Jezebel spirit and how she is present within the spiritual community. Okay, now, I am leaving this open-ended for you to use your own discernment. Everybody is going to notice these qualities in certain individuals. Now, I have very, very specific individuals in mind when I make this video, obviously. So I guess I can thank this person for being the way they are. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had this video to make. So just doing my job. But everybody is going to notice this either within the person that I'm speaking on or with somebody else, But the first sign of a Jezebel spirit in the spiritual community, the first thing that you need to be aware of is, at her core level, Jezebel is somebody that's all about her, okay? She is all about blatant over self-promotion, okay? Now, there's nobody here saying that you shouldn't celebrate your accolades. By all means. By all means. Nobody here is saying it. I mean, no shame in the game, right? Really, and if you think about it, and if we're being quite honest, and I try to be as honest as possible with you guys, in business, people watch each other. I'm watching, they're watching, I don't know who's watching me, it's like, I know very, very specifically certain people are watching me. It's very, very clear and obvious. But quite honestly, if these things hadn't been present, I wouldn't have had this material for a video. So thank you. You can't really look at every, not even challenging, really, everything that happens along your journey that, isn't being met with a lot of support as something that's negative. It actually helps you in some way. Like, for instance, okay, this whole thing with these twin flame DMs. We love them. And even when we're on this hiatus from each other, whether we're with them or not, and of course, free will still is in play here, okay? They have free will to go and ghost you. You have free will to do whatever you feel is best for your own peace, okay? If they hadn't done that, though, it's all on how you look at things. If they hadn't done that, though, now you're equipped with a skill that nobody can take from you because of this experience. Now you're equipped with a skill that if you decide to, and I would never tell you to do that. I'm a twin myself, but I can't force you to stay on the journey, okay? That's not my job. We all have our own journeys within the journey, okay? Our own courses of action to take. But if you think about it, And we'll get into Jezebel in a minute, okay? Let's get into when things happen. They're not happening to you, they're happening for you. How many times have I said that? They're not happening to you, they're happening for you, okay? Something refining always happens out of the experience. You're better for it after surviving it than if you had never experienced it at all, right? And God doesn't allow anything that you can't handle. You're still here, right? Looking at this video, still keeping on, right? But think about this. If the DM hadn't done certain things, hadn't acted certain ways, said certain things, you wouldn't have gained some sort of, well, really now I'm going to call it a superpower, right? Because before Twin Flame, we were all being taken advantage of by fuckboys and the like. But after Twin Flame, whether or not you decide to go forward or, whatever it is in your particular contract, right? It's all different, okay? Some will stay, some will go. I'm not going to encourage you to leave, but, I also can't force you to stay. This is not my job, okay? This is not my job to impose what I think you should do and shake a finger at you. No, I can't do that, okay? But think about the skill that you have now. If you decide to go to a soulmate, at least now with this, you will be equipped with a way of scanning a motherfucker up and down and side by side. And this is for a spiritual person, and this is facts. It's harder for us spiritual folk to find somebody that's within our, other than twin, right? That's within even our stratosphere. It's very hard because you look at these dating sites, okay? If you do a little experiment, right? Nobody's saying that you have to go for it. But, I went for a dating site for a little bit and I didn't really talk to anybody because it's like the only two that they give you for free is people that you're not interested in. So it's like moot. But when I went on there, I got a real look at what's out there. And you guys know that I do photo readings. You'll send me a picture and I'll scan the photo to see what the energies are that I'm picking up off the picture. It's something that I never even knew that I could do until I was like, wait a minute, And, every time I've been told, oh my God, yes, that's exactly what's happening. And sometimes I've been skeeved out at what I've found out about the person. Sometimes I've been like, well, this is not surprising at all. Just look at the body language, right? But the same element can be applied to you if you decide you're going to be fine either way. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? You're going to be fine either way because of the skills that you have learned from this journey. You're going to be fine. Whether you decide to stick to twin, whether you decide to go off with a soulmate, you're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely fine because if you decide not to stick to your twin and to go off with a soulmate, at least before you sign on the dotted line and, waste your time with a motherfucker that's incompatible with you. I mean, forget about astrological stuff. That's, whatever. I'm talking about the skill that you've learned here and that you've learned with other readers that you trust. Okay. But specifically, I want to talk about here. Okay. Because, I don't run other people's channels. I run my own. Okay. They run it the way they want to run it. Okay. But what the fuck is that? Oh, that's the steam. The steam's coming from the radiators. So it always make these weird sounds. It kind of freaks me out sometimes because you're not expecting it to go on at that moment. But, just think about how you can scan a motherfucker now. Think about that, guys. And know that whatever you choose, you're going to be fine. There's an element of peace and release. Peace and release. Release for peace, right? You're going to be fine either way. Sure, you'll love the person. Sure, you'll hold them in your heart. But you do have, what's the word I'm looking for? Now, our decisions, we have discussed that before as to whether our decisions really are our decisions, or if they're already known by the cosmos that you're going to make that decision. Are you really making that decision, or is it just you're just following along in the course, right? That's another topic for another video. I've discussed that before too. But getting back into the Jezebel spirit, okay? Jezebel spirit, the very first sign that a Jezebel is running game within the spiritual community, look at their reaction to the word narcissist. If they hate the word narcissist, they're a narcissist themselves. And a lot of narcissists have the Jezebel spirit within them. Okay? Big fucking facts. Big fucking facts. Okay? A narcissist is not going to like that word. They don't like the vibrations of that word because it's like, oh, well, there's a note of it within you. They won't tell you that, but this is why they don't like the word narcissist. And I've come across a couple of people that don't like that word. They don't like that word. Why don't you like that word? It's like I could say narcissist all day long and not be affected by it. That's a real testament there. It's like, why are you so put off by the word narcissist? It's like you have to look at the reactions of people and really, really, you have to do a fair amount of observing and detective work when you're trusting a spiritual entity, okay? Because there's a lot of entities here on YouTube and social media and all of that stuff. We've discussed that before. But getting back into how to discern that there's a Jezebel spirit amongst us, okay, at all. Okay, so first sign that a Jezebel spirit is amongst us in the spiritual community, and that's really where she's going to be. That's kind of her preferred place of, shall we say, roaming, hunting. And the first thing that she's going to do, now let me preface this by saying, I don't feel it's wrong to promote yourself, okay? But when you claim that your work speaks for itself, but everything is I, you start with I for everything, and you're not letting the work speak for itself. You're not doing that. Jezebel is very, very concerned with being the center of attention. So she will discredit anybody that calls her out, or try to discredit anybody that calls her out. But at the same time, when something is being done, even if it's not me, somebody else is going to call this person out. So you can blame shift and we'll get into the reactions of the Jezebel spirit in just a moment. But if your work speaks for itself, let it speak for itself. Let me tell you something. And this is the only time that I'm going to talk I and say I. I don't have a lot of subscribers. But then again, who knows how many lives I've touched that haven't pushed the subscribe button. If that's the only gauge that you're going by, well then, you're going to be trapped in numbers. Because who knows how many lives have been touched by people that have come to my videos and, videos of people like me that are considered a small channel, but they chose not to push subscribe. I mean, I say like, share, and subscribe, which I will always say, but it's your choice, obviously. And just because it's not reflected in numbers doesn't mean that you didn't have an effect on a person. If your only gauge is the numbers you see on a screen for your success and words of praise, which Jezebel loves praise. Oh, she loves praise. She lives for it. If words of praise and numbers on a screen are your only gauge of your actual success, then you're going to be limited by seeing that. And if it should ever drop, it's going to fuck with your mental health. Because a person can get a swelled head. A person can get a swelled head. This is why. After a certain amount of numbers are reached, goals are reached, the quality is not as of that of a person that's hungry to be seen and to be recognized. So when you have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of subs and likes and comments and all of this stuff, but if that's the only gauge of your success, you're going to be constantly looking for that number, and you're never going to be satisfied by what you're seeing because you're gauging your whole success and your work speaking for itself by it being reflected in something you see on a screen, whether it's words of praise or numbers. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. It's, sometimes the translation of what I'm getting kind of gets lost in translation because I'm getting a lot right now, okay? And Jesus really, he spoke out very, very, very unmistakably against Jezebel, okay? So, So if your work speaks for itself, let it speak for itself. Let it speak for itself. The carousel and barrage of blatant over self-promotion is just highlighting your insecurity that you are that successful. Because if that number were to disappear tomorrow, what would happen to you? What would happen to you? This is why I say I don't go by the numbers. This is why I don't even have the numbers revealed on my channel, because it's like, I'm not saying this to talk shit. I'm saying because it's facts. If you become so involved, so overly concerned with numbers and words you see on a screen, this is the only gauge of your success, by the praise of complete strangers and numbers being reflected under a name that you chose, then you're going to be trapped. Mentally trapped, because if it should ever go down, then it's going to fuck with your mental health. So when you say, let your work speak for itself, let it speak for itself. I don't have to publish every single review, every single, it's like, come on. It's like, who are you trying to convince, them or yourself? And it's like, I checked myself. I was like, I don't have to do that. That's why I decided to take out the sub count on this thing. It's like, because if you're making that your gauge, then you're constantly going to be hungry, because if you see it fluctuating, and you're the shit when it comes to this type of thing. You're the shit when it comes to, reading karmics and all that stuff. And, look, not to toot my horn, toot, but yes, I am. I'm that bitch. I was the original. It's like, and that's the only self-promotion that I'm going to do here in this little video here, right? I'm not going to, retort with some kind of salty comment to try to discredit the person that's being affected by this, right? And that leads me to my next point, reaction. The reaction will always be met with some salty comment. And usually it's laced with an insult, right? And what do I always say, guys, about insults? The only people that insult are those that are insecure themselves, because they're not trying to, convince you so much as they're trying to convince themselves. They will project. This is another thing that Jezebel will do. She'll project what she feels and kind of paste that label onto that person to discredit them or try to discredit them. It's really, really, once you become good at discerning this, it becomes very, very clear. And it's a bit problematic, because it's like, unfortunate, people look at numbers and people look at, words of praise that somebody screenshotted and put as a post. And it's like, if that's your only gauge of being successful and being of an influence in people's lives, then you're always going to be starving and you're always going to be looking to one up that, right? And that's another thing that Jezebel does, one-upmanship. Whatever you do, she can do better, right? And Jezebel is not really sure of herself. This is somebody that has a big, big ego, but big, big egos are usually masking just as big insecurity, okay? Big facts. I'm not telling you guys things you don't already know. And quite honestly, the Jezebel spirit will believe her own hype, will believe her own pat on her own back. How dare somebody speak against what's very clearly, obviously happening? I mean, I'm not the only bitch that sees this. I'm sure all y'all that are watching this video are probably, I can't see that you're doing it, but you're probably like, nodding your head. Yep. Where is the lie? So we're going to get into a part 2 and a part 3 to this. If you have questions about this, please, please, please let me know. And I will include them in the part 2, part 3, and possibly a part 4 if need be. Okay? Look, you got a problem with this video, and as a person that is having a Jezebel spirit attached to you, then that says more about you than it does about me. I'm just doing my job. Jesus, take it up with Jesus. I dare you to. God, not the ascended master. Bullshit. No ascended master. Let's stop. Okay? Because quite honestly, if a demon came to you right now, the name of Jesus Christ is the only thing that would make the thing flee. Not Buddha, not all of this stuff. And no disrespect, but look, let's just call things for what they are. Let's stop being afraid to tell the truth here for fear of hurting people's feelings. I'm not here to tickle eardrums. I'm not a prosperity preacher. I'm not. I'm here to tell the motherfucking truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. If it's abrasive, then maybe you need to look at why it's abrasive. If your feelings are hurt with this shit, you got, as somebody that's kind of being called out here, not kind of, is blatantly, okay? Now watch the reaction. I want you guys to pay attention to the reaction. When these types of videos are being done, I want you to pay attention to the reaction because that says everything, okay? If it's met with some kind of, numbers don't lie, you're just reinforcing what I just spoke on. Numbers don't lie. My work speaks for itself. You're not letting it speak for itself. Everything is about your God complex. Everything. And that's the real danger of resting on words of praise from complete strangers and numbers, vanity numbers, because if those things should ever change, if you should ever get a negative review, if the numbers should go down in any, it's going to fuck with that person's mental health. I'm telling you right the fuck now. And it's always, their mental health is always revealed in their posts. Because look, we live in a social media world, instead of having a dialogue with a person, passive aggressive posts. It's like, come on, dude. I'm 43 years old. I don't do that shit. I don't do the passive aggressive shit. Come on, man. We can talk. We can talk. But no, I'd rather try to discredit this person and make a passive aggressive post, screenshot something that somebody else had even said that you didn't even, write yourself. It's like, quite honestly, Jezebel is pathetic. And, a spirit doesn't just inhabit one body, but she does inhabit the most haughty of spirits. Don't blaspheme something, then cherry pick what you're going to use to try to divert attention away from you so that heat is taken off of you. I see you. God, it's when you really look at the mental deficiency, it's really, really sad. And Jezebel's spirit is not going to go into somebody that is of humble spirit. Jezebel's spirit is going to go into somebody that has a fucking ego to protect. But the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and that's a promise. Now watch. Watch for the passive aggressive reactions. Hey, look, it's a cycle. It's a cycle, But somebody had to speak on it. And I'm not the only one talking about Jezebel spirits. So to get on one person because you're agitated by the truth that they're telling, then you got to get on everybody, because look up Jezebel spirit on YouTube and you'll see it every fucking where. Okay. And it's usually part and parcel with the whole narcissist agenda. Okay. Look, man, I'm here to tickle your eardrums, and puff up your egos. I'm not here to do that shit. I never have been. What I'm here to do is to tell you the truth, no matter how difficult it is to hear. So I will be doing a part 2, part 3, and part 4. If you have any specific questions about this, let me know in the comments. I take all kinds of feedback as long as it's respectful, even if it's not something that's agreeing with me. As long as you're respectful, I'll keep it on there. Look, not every student in the class is going to agree with what I say. And the mark of a good teacher is being able to take that comment and perhaps illuminate that person. And that's the only reason I'm here, really, to illuminate and do my job. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. It's, the truth is never pretty. Truth 9 times out of 10 is a something that's going to fucking knock you on your ass. Okay? But that's why I resonate with Jesus's messages so well. I love the whole, I'm not even going to call it a premise. The whole basis of his teachings. A definite right, a definite wrong. Jesus wasn't afraid to call a motherfucker out. And if I'm going to emulate anybody, it's going to be Jesus. God. So, that being said, you guys, I know that sometimes my truths are kind of a hard pill to swallow, but you got to recognize shit and call it out for what the fuck it is. Now, be prepared for the reaction. Now, there might not be a reaction, right? Trying so hard to look unaffected.